Steps alone is the easiest 2,000 calories that you will ever burn in a week. And we use steps on our program in order to slightly increase daily output. But also, the main reason I'm using steps for the guys on my program is so I can give them a hell of a lot more food. That is reason number one as an expert coaching men. However, there is a huge caveat to telling people to go and do steps. And that caveat is the amount of time the steps actually take. And that's time potentially away from the family. If you haven't got an active job, or if you're blaming yourself for poor time management and leaving everything till the last minute, 9 o'clock at night, you're out walking. Unfortunately, 2025, we are a very integrated species with technology. I'm actually a massive technologist. I think it's absolutely great. However, nowadays, 9 till 5, you're probably lucky if you're getting over 500 steps. So I aim in this video to try and alleviate some of these issues, both logical issues and emotional issues, to make you be able to do more steps a lot more easier, because more steps means more food. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you an example meal plan with 10,000 steps and an example meal plan without 10,000 steps, exactly the same one, right? Just so you've got absolute clarity on the difference. And what you can see is this one with 10,000 steps is 2,500 calories, right? We've got 100 grams of oats, 30 grams of protein powder, 150 grams of mixed berries and water to start things off, 100 grams of rice, mint, 220 grams of chicken breast, mixed salad, hot sauce. Pre-gym, 60 grams of oats, 20 grams of jam, 49 grams of carbs. Post-gym, protein shake, banana. Evening meal, pasta, sauce, 150 grams, 70 grams of pasta dry, 150 grams of beef, mixed veg, and then an evening little bit of a dessert, 200 grams of low-fat yogurt, 150 grams of mixed berries, and some 30 grams of dark chocolate, like a little black forest yogurt type of dessert there, right? 2,500 calories is the big number, yeah? Without steps, and this is why I give the blokes a lot of food, because if they start on day one of my program eating this, they are on the bare bones of it from the get-go, right? 100 grams of oats, mixed berries, and you see the difference. You've got no protein powder in your oats on the morning. You've got less rice. You've got no protein shake after the gym. And no chocolate on the evening. The niceties are gone if you don't do steps. Now, if you do steps, you can still have some of the niceties in your day. Do you know what I mean? So there's your example, bringing it to life. You would be on a hell of a lot less food if you didn't do steps. And while I'm here, I'll go into the coaching point of view. If you're on less food and you don't lose weight, think about what action I have as a coach to get you to lose weight. If you're not doing steps, you're not doing cardio, and I've got you on low calories, so I like to have I call them tightening a screw. I like to have 3 screws, right? I like to have cardio, steps, and food. So the best way, and I will challenge anybody to challenge this philosophy, is increase output first, then reduce food. The reason we do that is because we want to keep food as high as possible for as long as possible, which keep performance as high as possible. There's a lot of you on my program that have been gaining strength, gaining muscle mass while losing body fat. Now, the only reason you have been able to perform so high for so long is because I've kept the calories as high as possible, because I know the output's there. If I crushed your calories from day one, you wouldn't have the luxury of output. You wouldn't be able to push as high in the gym, and you'd be way more hungry. You'd gain less muscle, you'd gain less strength, and you'd be way more likely to have a meltdown because you're on the bare bones from day one, right? So there's the coaching reason. However, the coaching reason doesn't quite resonate with you personally. I'm just going to delete this because I don't want to click on it. It's got its details on. There we go. So that's my point of view, right? From me prioritizing getting results. So, like I've just said there, high food equals high performance. Easier to cope with more food and more steps for longer than it is doing the opposite. So one thing that I think I slip up with this, and maybe you do too, steps is a basic measurement for daily movement. Calling it steps starts to get, it just creates a boring thing to be doing, an annoying thing to be doing. But it's just daily movement. And let's say, for example, you said to your missus, coming to get some steps in. She'd look at you thinking, it's not very romantic, is it? Why would I want to do that? Now, if you said coming for a nice walk along in the park, coming to the park, it's sunrise or sunset or the moon's out tonight. Do you see how you're framing the same thing with a little bit different? Then you're getting the misses out, and it's just steps. Don't tell her I said that. It's something I need to actually work on, because me saying to her, come and do some steps, she's like, she couldn't think of anything worse. Obviously. It doesn't sound very inviting, does it? So in your head, calling it steps, if that annoys you, then you're already on a negative, slippery slope. But yeah, it's just daily movement. So, there's a book on this. I haven't read it, but people say that I sound like I've read it. I haven't. I don't know what it's called, Atomic Habits or something like that. Anyway, habit stacking, right? Something shit with something good. I do this. For example, with cardio, I'll have a nice little YouTube video on that I like to watch. It's like a 20-minute YouTube video that he posts every day. I'm doing that while I'm doing my cardio. Like, I'm kind of addicted to the YouTube video, so I just don't watch it until I'm on that cardio machine. That works for me. However, a version of that is, if you're out the house walking, can you not get the family involved? And that's what I'm saying about framing it as not steps. Good sunrise tonight, babe. Do you want to go for a walk? I know it's sneaky, but we have to be sneaky, lads. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, as you can see, this kid is frigging absolutely furious that big happy dad keeps taking him out for a walk with his fancy new backpack. This is actually burning more calories, right? This kid has had enough walks, and the dad is happy as Larry. Maybe you can get one for the missus as well. But yeah, you get the idea. Bring the family along if you can, and if you can be sneaky about it, get them involved, then happy days. Get them all involved. Great picture of that, innit? Another daft little one as well. I don't know if you've got a dog or whatever, but dogs. Everybody that's got a dog is walking on a morning. You can't not take the dog for a walk, let the dog out, take the dog around the block a little bit. You take the kids to the park, happy days. A way to accelerate that is literally just take a tennis ball. You're going to get so many more steps in by taking a tennis ball, because the alternative, you're sat on a bench with your phone in your hand while they're running around. tennis ball or a football. Little things make a huge difference when you're doing them every single day. Habit stack number 2, and this is what I do. Something you love with the steps. Like I've got a podcast there that I love listening to, the All In podcast, massive technology podcast, and I haven't seen the last episode. It's about an hour and a half, so I can literally watch half of that today. On the treadmill, or I can do it when I'm doing my steps. The thing is with my steps, I'm walking to the gym. It's a half an hour walk for me in the gym, so that doesn't bother me too much, to be honest with you. But something you love listening to, whether it's music, whether it's complete silence, or whether it's that podcast you're absolutely addicted to, just to make it a little bit easier. However, there is some little demons out there that like to make things hard and enjoy the resilience that is required to do this daily. And there is definitely a beauty to doing that. And this is what we are massive on the last phase of the longevity program, where we start focusing on mental resilience. Silence, stillness, ridding ourselves of dopamine and distraction. Habit stack number 3, something you love doing with steps. You want to go on social media? Do it while walking. And I'm not saying that you love social media. Most of the reason we're on social media nowadays is because we're addicted to it. But for my clients, the legends on my program, one thing you could do is, when I send you your phone clips, when I send you your weekly check-in, watch it while walking. You know how much detail I go into with regards to my movement feedback, and on your weeklies. So that could be a little trick that you use, because you love my feedback. Do that while you're on your, just as a little way. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're starting to stack things. You're videoing yourself in the gym, one set per exercise. You're sending that to me, and then the feedback, you're walking. You see how these things start to stack, and makes a difference, right? But this is I seen this from a guy in Austin at Kingsway. He basically said, and I've seen it in the army as well, not do it while walking. He basically, he calls it unlock. He calls it his phone unlock or something like that. And I've seen this in the army as well. It's basically a check-in or a buy-in and a buy-out. So before you want to do something, you have an action in order to do that. So he was doing, I think, 50 press-ups before he was allowed to unlock his phone. So I was just looking at him, I was like, why the hell are you doing? If he's watching my video now, I'll laugh my head off if he's watching my videos. But yeah, he was doing press-ups after the gym session. I was like, why are you doing press-ups, you absolute lunatic? You've just trained. And yeah, he was doing the press-ups to unlock his phone. And that is interesting. It's an elite level mindset, I think. Or is it? I'm not sure. I'll let you decide. Let me know in the comments if there's anything weird that you actually do, any creative weirdness that you actually do in order to stack something you love doing with potentially something that you don't necessarily like doing very much. We've got the time management one, right? So fundamentally, if you're one of them blokes that does leave this till last minute because you're literally on 100, 200, 300, 400 steps by the time you finish work, and you get annoyed, the act of doing steps becomes less of an enjoyable experience, that disconnect, that time where you can actually plan, your day and look and reflect on your day as well. I actually enjoy the steps now. It's something like I'm thinking. It's my thinking time, because in times where, I know you don't want to hear this when we're talking about time management, by the way, but in times where life's fast, we're always overstimulated, we always want a distraction, You know, whether that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whether that's our phones, whether that's football, whether that's other sports. We've always got some form of distraction. Our brain's always occupied. And having a time of no distraction that actually takes long as well. Like, and this is what I'm massive on, last phase of the program. It gives you thinking time. And thinking time in 2025, when we're all absolutely integrated with technology, is a very rare thing. It's a very wonderful thing as well. Now, I'm not going to say that you need to think like this. I'm just saying that you might think it's boring, but sometimes being bored and having time to think and reflect and plan is actually a very, very useful thing to be doing on a regular basis. Okay, so a couple of points on time management. You know roughly what time you're going to train during the day. You know what time you're going to get up. You know what time you're going to go to bed. Do you know what time you're going to do your steps? Is there a time slot allocated to that? Because we all know, right? If there's not a time slot associated with it, it's not going to get done. It's just as simple as that. If it's not on that list of things to do, it's just not going to get done, right? So one thing I could do with my clients is ask them on a morning what time they're going to do their steps as part of their daily check-in sheet. You know, what do they weigh? How well did they sleep? What time are you going to do your steps? Do you know what I mean? Maybe, maybe not. I'll see how it goes. Can you do 30 minutes before work? Can you do 30 minutes after work? That's going to get you about 8,000 steps, depending on pace. Can you get up and do 10 minutes of walking every 60 minutes? Set a little alarm. I know it's not as easy as doing that in the corporate space, especially when you might have a meeting on the hour. But can you go 10 minutes every hour? Could you walk a little bit more during the day? To and from the gym? Park further away from the gym? These are all questions I would love you to be able to answer. However, to finish off this video, I would like to leave you with 2 get out of jail free cards. And these are gold dust, by the way, like absolute gold dust, right? Get out of jail free card number 1. If life happens and you are really tight for time, and this is something that, you know, if you're being completely honest with yourself, when are you ever that strapped for time? And the reason I can criticize you is because when we look at our screen time, it's too much, right? We're on our phones on social media too much, right? And I know you're busy at work. I know you're strapped into the desk, but we're on our phones, we're on social media for a long time every day. Anyway, not criticizing that. Let's address the steps. If you genuinely believe you are really tight for time, then what you can do is brisk walk / slow jog. And when I say slow jog, I mean fucking slow, right? I mean, it's called a shuffle in the army, in the paras. We used to call it the airborne shuffle. And it is such an efficient way to move. It's like, if you went any slower, you'd be doing a brisk walk. So it's kind of like all you're doing is leaning your shoulders a little bit further forward from a brisk walk until your feet just start moving like you're borderline stumbling into a run. Anyway, it's mega efficient and it's twice as fast as walking. 30 seconds of brisk walking and a 1 minute, and this is by no means a jog. I'm talking shuffle. It's what you do when you're building up to a jog. It's slow, right? Sometimes that can cut the duration of your daily in half. Get out of jail free card number 2. This is huge, and I've used this in the past. I've used this in the past couple of weeks and on multiple occasions, actually. If life happens and there's absolutely no way you are doing them, reduce them from your calorie intake daily. I can't express, right, how this will get you out of the shit. on a regular basis. However, you don't want to fall back on this, because if you're falling back on this, it just means that you haven't managed your time effectively. You haven't got your family involved in going out for what do you know what I mean? You haven't been the character required to get the result. So this is honestly, last resort is this, yeah? Because sometimes something happens. Sometimes you still got 7,500 steps to do, and there's a kid on your arm who's crying, and he still needs to be fed. You still need to train. You still need to be fed, and it's now getting to 8:30, and you're like, right, what are my options? And it's basically going onto Google, put it in your body weight, saying the amount of steps that you need to do for the rest of the day, and then saying how many calories would I burn by doing that. When you do that, it'll give you a number. It'll say 350 to 450. Take the lowest number because we're conservative, and then deduct that from your remaining calories in the day. Reduce the calories from your intake. If you want to reduce the output, reduce the input. However, for us to be consistently high-performing men, we need high food. That is how we do things on a longevity program. If you are interested in a longevity program, then the link is in the description. Jump on a call with me and we will get you sorted. That's it from me. I'll see you tomorrow.